Greg Gumbel and Armin Contain, who's on the sideline. This ought to be a good one.
A look at the AFC playoff picture. The New England Patriots have won the AFC East. The Oakland Raiders looking for the #2 seed and a first-round bye. The New York Jets looking for a victory to get into the postseason, or a Seattle loss. The Seahawks playing the Kansas City Chiefs today. And here in Oakland, it is the usual assortment of enemy that Herman Edwards, Phil, says he likes.
Herman Edwards said, I'm going to come to the stadium, go out and talk to these people and say, wow, how long did it take you to get that outfit ready? So, loves to see fans that are really into the game.
The New York Jets have won the toss, and they will receive. That's Brad Daloiso, who has been signed this week to replace the ailing Sebastian Janikowski. Janikowski was hospitalized this week with a case of cellulitis, an infection in his left foot. He is here at the stadium today, but Daloiso will do the place kicking. Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, Armin Katayan, we have glad you've joined us for this most important broadcast. We're underway from the 13-yard line. It's Chad Morton to the 30, to the 40, across the 45, and out to the 47 and 48-yard line. Mondrell Fulcher made the stop for the Raiders. 35-yard return to give Vinny Testaverde and the Jets some excellent position. Testaverde's numbers on the year: 14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
Well, a couple things Vinny Testaverde told us yesterday. The Jets, of course, want to run the football, but when they throw it, spread the Raiders out. 5 wide receivers, situations like that, he does not think they handle that very well.
Curtis Martin is the lone back behind Testaverde, who will throw on first down. Trebek to the 40-yard line of the Raiders, and that's enough for a first down, a 14-yard pickup.
Well, you look at the Jets' offensive line. Kevin Moreeeee, number 68, stressed to us yesterday, we are not a finesse offensive line, we are physical.
In the backfield, Martin along with Richie Anderson, Krebet and Coles the wide receivers, Anthony Beck is the tight end. And there's the first-year coach, Herman Edwards. Says we're going to find out exactly today what we're all about. Quick pass to the far side, and that's complete to Lavernius Coles. Coles has the first down. Down the sideline, he has a touchdown. 40 yards and the touchdown.
Longest pass play maybe of the year for the New York Jets. But a screen to the outside of Lavernius Coles. Kerry Jenkins, 71, gets a good block on Elijah Alexander. And Eric Allen just gets caught inside, and Lavernius Coles showed you his speed and goes to the outside for the touchdown.
244 completions by Vinny Testaverde. That's his first of 40-plus yards this season.
That was their longest pass play of the year.
John Hall's kick is good. Not even a minute has expired in the first quarter, and the New York Jets lead the Raiders 7-0.
Elsewhere, St. Louis need to win to ensure the #1 spot. Jeff Wilkins with a field goal for 24 yards there. Seattle 3rd and 2 at midfield, no score against Kansas City. And Cincinnati have beaten Tennessee, a come-from-behind win on the road for the Bengals.
With the whole world looking for the Jets to run the football here today, Vinny Testaverde comes out, throws 2 passes. The Jets go 54 yards. Lavernius Coles scores the touchdown, and New York is up 7-0. Terry Kirby is deep for the kick from John Hall. And Kirby from his own 8 to the 25 and out to the 30-yard line. A return of 21 yards, and onto the field will come Pro Bowl quarterback Rich Gannon, having an outstanding season. 26 touchdown passes and 9 picks.
Yeah, last week, Greg, we did the game. The Oakland Raiders in Denver. It was the best I've ever seen Rich Gannon throw the football. and we say this all the time, stats lie. He threw 2 interceptions in that game last week. I can't say either one of them was really his fault. He almost played a perfect game.
On first down, Charlie Garner straight ahead. And Garner darts out over the 35.
You look at the Raider offensive line, the left guard, Steve Wisniewski, making his 161st straight start for the Raiders.
In the backfield with Garner is John Ritchie, Tim Brown, and Jerry Rice, the wide receivers, and Roland Williams, the tight end. And there's John Gruden.
Yeah, John Gruden stressed to us, and he stressed to his team this week, hey guys, be proud of where you're at. We've had a tremendous season, now let's finish it off.
The give is to Garner again, and Garner stops to the 38-yard line. Here's the Jet defense. Sean Ellis, Burton, Steve Martin, and Pro Bowler John Abraham.
The linebackers for the Jets, they're all have an outstanding year.
In the secondary, the corners are Aaron Glenn and Marcus Coleman, Damian Robinson, and Victor Green, the starting safeties. And we welcome those of you who've been watching the game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Tennessee Titans. The Bengals winning at 23-21. Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, Armin Katayan here in Oakland, where the New York Jets took just 2 plays after the opening kickoff. Lavernius Coles, a 40-yard touchdown reception. The Jets lead at 7-0. Straight ahead is Zach Crockett looking for and appears to have a first down.
Got a good spot across the 40-yard line. You know, Greg, we talked to Herman Edwards yesterday. I said, what do you think this Raiders offense is going to do? And he says, they are going to run it right at us, of course. And he says, I expect them, which is not their personality, I expect them to throw the football down the field more against us than they've shown all year.
3 straight plays running the football, and now Gannon will throw. On first down, that's Garner out of the backfield to the 45 and to the 46-yard line. A pickup of 6 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 4. One other thing that Herm Edwards told us is that one of the keys will be stopping the Raiders and Rich Gannon on first down.
Well, they got a couple things they want to do to Rich Gannon today. When it's obvious passing situations, rush 3 defensive linemen, and then let somebody like Mo Lewis stand in front of him and move with him as he moves around the pocket, because that's where he really hurts you throwing the football. 5
wide receivers now for the Raiders on 2nd and 4. Quick drop by Gannon, and down he goes at the 38-yard line. John Abraham, the Pro Bowl defensive end, with his 13th sack of the season.
Well, John Abraham, when you play the New York Jets, you have to really pay attention to him rushing the passer. Barry Sims just slips, and I think everybody, when they see John Abraham for the first time, after a couple plays, they go, this guy is fast. I think he, if not the fastest defensive lineman in the league, he's one of the top 2 or 3.
Before the game, Armin Katayan told us the field looked a little slippery. And you saw Barry Sims, the left tackle, slip on that attempted block. Gannon throws. That's complete to Ritchie. And Ritchie approaching midfield, diving for first down yardage, appears to be about a yard shy. Pickup of 9 on the play, and it'll be 4th and 1. Let's go to Armin.
Greg, some kind of week here around for the Raider Nation began when defensive tackle Darrell Russell lost his appeal and was suspended for a year after testing positive for the drug ecstasy. Jerry Rice missed both Wednesday and Thursday practice, home with his ailing father in Mississippi. You mentioned Sebastian Janikowski out this week with that ailing foot. To top it all off, the Raiders did not practice on their home field all week. Back to you.
All right, Armin, that punt from Shane Leckler into the end zone. And it'll be a touchback. 51-yard punt by Leckler, and John Abraham going to the Pro Bowl, got himself a sack right off the bat here in Oakland.
John Abraham will be joining the Pro Bowl by Jets teammates Kevin Maui and Curtis Martin. And coming in, we talked about the Jets giving the ball to Curtis Martin, yes, but they kind of fooled everybody.
Well, as you heard, I said Vinny Testaverde should throw it at every opportunity. Yeah, it caught us out, didn't it, completely. I think it might have caught the Raiders out as well. It's a nicely designed play. It works because of the block, first from Kerry Jenkins there, and then on the far side, I think that's Lavernius Coles and Eric Allen. And Allen, the 36-year-old, just done for speed, but he's He's got no chance. It wasn't Coles, of course. Coles is the man that got the touchdown. Yeah, I mean, it's caught him stone cold. And, you know, we saw some of the problems that the Raiders' offense was having. They're struggling to run the ball, even against the Jets, who are even worse against the run than Oakland. And the early signs do not bode well for the Raiders.
Back in Oakland, the Jets take over first down at their own 20-yard line. They lead by a score of 7-0. Curtis Martin gets his first touch of the day, tries the left side, out over the 20 to about the 23-yard line. Oakland defensive front, minus Darrell Russell, who's been suspended for a year. He's replaced at tackle by Rod Coleman.
Well, to stop Curtis Martin today, the linebackers for the Raiders, especially Greg Beaker, will have to have good days.
The corners, Charles Woodson and Eric Allen, Anthony Dorsett and Johnny Harris are the safeties. Five wide receivers for the Jets on 2nd and 7. The pass out here to Richie Anderson. Anderson across the 25 and out of bounds at about the 27-yard line.
You know, Greg, one of the reasons why, just to finish this point, they want to go to 5 wide receivers. The Raiders have messed up the defensive formations in past games. In other words, sometimes they don't even cover one of the wide receivers. The Jets are hoping they'll make one of those mistakes and they can get a big play out of it.
A look at Grady Jackson, who centers that line now. With Darrell Russell gone, Curtis Martin, with his 3-yard pickup and his first carry, has now set a team rushing record for the New York Jets. Coming this way and diving toward the 30-yard line is Martin. Curtis Martin, with 38 career 100-yard games, has come into this action today, the NFL's leading rusher, and he is in a dogfight with Kansas City's Priest Holmes. And Holmes, going up against the Seattle Seahawks, will keep you updated on the matchup between Martin and Holmes all day long. Martin came in leading the league with 1,455 yards. The pitch for Martin, cuts it back, and picks up a couple out over the 30 to the 32-yard line. William Thomas, Rod Coleman make the stop after a 2-yard pickup. This is up to date now. Curtis Martin with 1,470 yards on the season rushing. Priest Holmes at 1,439.
You know, a lot of ways to be a good running back in the National Football League is you look at those two, kind of similar body types, same type of running style. They don't try to run over players. They try to run around them, don't take a lot of punishment as a running back in this league.
Once again, the Jets spread the offense. Testaverde's going to go down. Jets had not given up a sack in their last 4 games.
Vinny Testaverde is sacked fewer times than any other quarterback in the league, but when you spread your offense out, the Raiders, Grady Jackson and Rod Coleman, number 57, their front 4 is big, and they can push the pocket as well as anybody.
Loss of 8 on the play gives the Jets now a 3rd and 16. You see the numbers there on the efficiency of the Jet offensive line this season. Testaverde with time now pulls it down and takes off, and he goes down at the 23-yard line. Chris Cooper, the 6th-round draft pick, the rookie out of Nebraska, Omaha, corralled him. 2 plays, 2 sacks.
Well, you can always have a good thought coming into a football game, but the Raider defensive backs, Greg, we've done a couple of their games the last couple of weeks. They are as good as anybody in this league as far as manning up to a receiver and just giving the quarterback no window to throw the football. That time, everybody was covered for Vinny Testaverde.
Tupa kicks it away to Tim Brown. Wobbly kick, fair catch called for, and he's bumped into it at the 40-yard line. Jamie Henderson, the rookie out of Georgia, made contact before the ball arrived. And when all is said and done, it's going to be pretty good field position for the Raiders, who feel like they've grabbed a little of that momentum away from the New York Jets.
Interference with the opportunity to make a fair catch. 15-yard penalty, number 23, defense. First down open.
So they'll walk it off against the New York Jets, and when we come back, Rich Gannon will be operating from much better position than he did earlier.
Congratulations to Mr. D. Harris. He won our competition last week. He'll receive a Claymore's game shirt and NFL sweatshirt, stating that Norm Van Brocklin was the second coach of the Atlanta Falcons.
Some of the things of which head coach Herman Edwards is most proud where his Jets are concerned, what they've done well this year, and sacks allowed and penalties. He pointed to those in our meeting with him last night, and in 2 consecutive plays, the New York Jets did that. They allowed a sack, and then they committed a penalty.
That was a dream list we just looked at for an NFL coach to do that well in all those categories.
Gannon to throw on first down, over the middle, has his man, Charlie Garner. Garner inside the 30 to the 25-yard line in the first down. 21 yards on the play.
Now, when I watch this Raiders offense, this is where I think they can really do big damage to the New York Jets. You're trying to stop the wide receivers down the field, and then what happens? Nobody is underneath the cover. Charlie Garner, the tight end, John Ritchie, people like that coming short across the line of scrimmage, and Rich Gannon is the best in the league at finding those short wide receivers or short receivers.
Garner, 18 catches his last 2 games, 2 today, and Tyrone Wheatley piling up the middle inside the 15-yard line and down to the 12.
Well, John Gruden says, I finally am going to get a chance to work Tyrone Wheatley back into our offense. And the big reason is the New York Jets don't cheat up front. They don't put extra people up to stop the run. And when you don't do that, now John Gruden can bring Tyrone Wheatley and says, well, we can run the football or throw a play-action pass now when he's in there.
Wheatley still in there, Ritchie ahead of him in the backfield. On first down, it's Wheatley again. And Wheatley this time gets tied up, barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. Mo Lewis makes the stop after a 1-yard pickup.
Now, you know the Raiders missed Tyrone Wheatley when we talked to Tim Brown on Friday afternoon, and a wide receiver is talking about how we got to get Tyrone back in the offense. So everybody understands his importance to try to will your dominance physically over the other team, and to do that, the Raiders need Tyrone Wheatley in the backfield.
Terry Kirby has now come into the backfield along with Ritchie on 2nd and 9. Gannon over the middle, and that's complete to Kirby, and Kirby spins his way to about the 5-yard line. It'll be just short of the 5. We'll call it a 6-yard pickup, and the Raiders are looking at a 3rd and 3. There's Ted Cottrell, defensive coordinator for the New York Jets.
This has got to be Ted Cottrell's one of his more satisfying seasons, because the Jets, after 6 games, their defense was horrendous. He fixed it up. They did what these players do best, and they played very well since then.
Double tight end now for the Raiders. Brown goes in motion. Gannon with time, throws it out here and falls incomplete. Randy Jordan fell on it. Looks like Rich Gannon had second thoughts about where he wanted to go with the football.
Well, that's John Gruden doesn't have any second thoughts. He hates the play, period. But we saw that last week against the Denver Broncos. Rich Gannon has the ability, as he's going to throw the football, thinks somebody's open, and right in mid-throw, just stop it. And that time the football just got away from him.
So Brad Daloiso comes on now to kick a field goal, what would be 22 yards.
Did you say kick it? Kick it, okay. Just checking.
They get 23 yards out of Shane Leckler's hole. The kick is up, and it is good. The penalty helps the Raiders on their drive. They end up 3 points on the board. It's a 7-3 Jet lead.
With only 80 carries coming into today's game, Tyrone Wheatley seems to maybe be the missing part of the Raiders' rushing puzzle.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, if you remember what the Raiders did last year, they were a beat-you-up team because they could get physical with you. With Wheatley injured as much as he's been this year, they can't get physical with you. When Wheatley's on song, this is what he's capable of doing. He just goes blasting straight through the middle, bounces off tackles. Of course, the injury, you wonder how much it's kind of hurt him, because the following play he was stopped for no gain at all, and then they took him out. But I mean, Gannon does seem to really favour this sort of short little dump-off pass, these precision passes that Gannon does so well. But I'd love to see more of Wheatley. I think the Raiders are a more balanced team with him in the lineup.
Welcome back to Network Associates Coliseum. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Simms, and the quick start by the New York Jets would seem to bode well for a team that has played very well on the road all season long.
Yeah, they have. They're 6-1 on the road, Greg, and I think the big thing for the New York Jets, Herman Edwards, he was crying to us yesterday, we cannot make any big plays on offense, and we saw their longest pass play of the year just a few minutes ago, 40 yards. That's hard to believe in this league. That would be your longest of the year.
Daloiso kicking it away. And from the 13-yard line, it's Morton to the 30. Spun around as he crossed the 30 and is down at about the 32 or 33-yard line after a 20-yard return. And we'll take another timeout and come right back to Oakland. 3:43 to play in the first.
7-3-hour game, and it seems to be picking up there. But let's go back to the point of Tyrone Wheatley. Last season, the Raiders averaging 50 yards more per game rushing, but they seem to have a lot less problems, a lot less mental problems than what they have in this season.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, and it's interesting what's happened to the running game for them this year. I mean, 5 weeks ago, they were averaging 130 yards a game. Now that's down to 102. It's just absolutely vanished. I mean, almost to the point that, they're hardly even trying. So, I think a healthy Wheatley, really does galvanise them, gives them an extra sense of purpose and gives them an extra place they can go, because they've got other guys that can come in and do things. Crockett is a terrific third down back. Give him 3rd and 1, he'll get you a first down every time. But for some reason, they do seem to have gone away from it.
And on the other side of the ball, you have Russell. He had the problems this week with the substance abuse, but they still seem to have been giving up a lot of yards rushing with him in the lineup, with him coming out the lineup. What does that mean?
Well, it was very interesting. John Gruden didn't endear himself to his safeties when he said it's the safeties' fault for not making tackles. He said that a few weeks ago, to which Anthony Dorsett said, well, look, hey, we've got the running backs here and we're not making the tackles. There's a problem elsewhere because he's getting through the front 7, which is a very valid point. And why they've been so soft straight up the middle, I don't know. I mean, it was Sean Alexander that really exposed it for the Seattle Seahawks. He's the guy that said, hey, look, this is what happened if you run at the Raiders. I just don't think that you can say, well, it's all because the safeties can't tackle, which is true. They've got a couple of very, very ordinary safeties when it comes to run stopping. But, the problem starts further up than that. It starts with those defensive linemen. Okay,
as we get back to the game score, 7-3, New York Jets football.
We invite you to log on to NFL.com and read why Phil Simms says there's no such thing as backing into the playoffs. He says if you're in, you're in. Check it out at NFL.com or America Online, keyword NFL.
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings, they backed into the playoffs like you don't deserve it. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think all ex-players would voice that same opinion.
Richie Anderson. And Anderson across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. Greg Biekert, the middle linebacker for the Raiders, making the stop after a 4-yard pickup.
Good job by the Raiders. Richie Anderson running the option. Watch him come down the line of scrimmage. Eric Allen stays outside on Curtis Martin and doesn't allow the Jets to get a big play out of it.
There's Chuck Bresnahan, the defensive coordinator for the Raiders. 2nd and 6. Down at the 32-yard line is Richie Anderson, and Grady Jackson coming through to make the stop. A 5-yard loss on the play. It'll be 3rd and 11 when we get back, but let's check with Jim Nantz in New York.
Elsewhere, the Rams now 10 up against Atlanta at the end of the first period. Kurt Warner 12 yards to Ricky Prohl. Atlanta have the ball at midfield, but St. Louis with a win will clinch the #1 seeding in the NFC.
All right, Jim, thank you. Miami looking for a win to clinch a home game in the playoffs next week. Testaverde throws back the other way. Curtis Martin. Martin dodges one tackler, leaps over another, but is brought down at about the 32-yard line by Anthony Dorsett.
The Oakland Raiders defense got a lot of emotion in what they're doing up front. Right now, they're almost overpowering the Jets' offensive line, and you can see the speed of the secondary as they come up and make the tackle on Curtis Martin.
Charles Woodson is now deep to receive the kick for the Raiders. This will be Woodson at the 20. To the 30 and down at the 32-yard line. 47-yard kick, 13-yard return, and tonight on the CBS Sunday Movie, when it comes to being a master thief, it takes one to catch one. Ving Rhames, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Sean Connery star in the network premiere of Entrapment tonight on CBS. Not many incompletions between these two quarterbacks so far here in the first quarter.
Well, two real good throwers of the football. Rich Gannon, the master, throwing it underneath. Vinny Testaverde, the arm strength to really do anything he wants with the football during the game.
Garner and Ritchie in the backfield as Gannon goes to work from his own 32. This is Garner. And no room outside. Loss of one on the play. James Farrier, according to the numbers, the leading tackler in the NFL with 170 of them coming into the action. And boy, what a turnaround his career has taken this season in New York.
Well, being healthy always helps a player, especially when you're a linebacker. But the style of defense they play, somewhat of the same style the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play. Derek Brooks down there makes all the tackles. James Farrier, same position here. A lot of the plays are pushed towards him, and he's done a good job making the tackles.
Give this to Garner straight ahead, and Garner dancing his way out across the 35.
You know, as you watch the Raiders today, we talked about it. They'd like to run the football more. They want to be a little more patient. But look, there's John Gruden calling the plays. All year long, they've been a pretty aggressive throwing football team. Can you, in the 16th game of the season, say, okay, now we're going to go back and we're going to try to be a power running team and all that? I don't think so. I think the Raiders are going to win this football game today, if they do, by throwing the football with Rich Gannon.
Gannon the throw on 3rd and 6 on the blitz. The pass is complete across midfield to Jerry Rice, and a first down, 16-yard pickup, and a fine grab by Rice.
Nothing you can do if you're a defense in a play like this. It's just the only place that Rich Gannon can throw it, and a terrific catch by Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice makes the catch, making a reception in 241 consecutive games. Second quarter coming up.
It's nervy in Seattle. Both teams have missed a field goal. Ryan Lindell missed a 44-yarder for the Hawks. Todd Peterson did the same for the Chiefs, a 43-yarder. Remember, if Seattle win that one and the Jets lose, Seattle are in, the Jets are out.